Blood runs thicker than water, but secrets run deeper than both. The desert heat shimmered like liquid metal across Highway 58, turning the asphalt into a mirror of mirages as Maya Sinclair watched steam rise from her Honda's cracked radiator. She'd been driving for 12 hours straight, fleeing the ghosts of her childhood home in Phoenix, when the engine finally surrendered 20 miles outside Barstow. The gas station looked like something from a forgotten decade, rusted pumps, peeling paint, and the kind of silence that made you check over your shoulder. When the rumble of Harley-Davidsons shattered that silence, Maya's hand instinctively went to the dog tags hanging beneath her father's old work shirt. She'd worn them every day since his funeral 3 months ago, her last connection to the gentle mechanic who'd raised her alone, who'd taught her to change oil and believe in second chances. But as these leather-clad giants dismounted their bikes, something cold twisted in her stomach. The leader's eyes locked onto the Phoenix tattoo on her shoulder, the same design her father had worn on his forearm, the one he'd claimed was just something he'd gotten in the army. But when she mentioned Tommy Sinclair's name, the color drained from faces that had seen everything. Who was her father, really, and why did these dangerous men look at her like they'd seen a ghost? Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The silence stretched like a taut wire ready to snap. Maya's throat felt as dry as the desert wind that whipped around the gas station, carrying the scent of motor oil and something darker she couldn't name. The Hells Angels stood motionless, their leather cuts adorned with patches that spoke of violence and brotherhood in equal measure, but their faces, weathered maps of hard living, held an expression she'd never expected to see on men like these. Fear. Tommy Phoenix Sinclair, the leader repeated slowly, as if testing each syllable. He was a mountain of a man, easily 6'4", with graying hair pulled back in a ponytail and arms covered in ink that told stories Maya was sure she didn't want to hear. A patch on his vest read Vice President beneath the words Hells Angels. Below that, a name, Roadkill. Maya's fingers tightened around the dog tags, the metal warm from her skin in the relentless July sun. You knew him? The question came out smaller than she intended, barely audible over the distant hum of the highway. Roadkill exchanged glances with the other bikers, 5 men who looked like they could tear apart her broken Honda with their bare hands. One of them, younger than the rest with a spider web tattooed across his neck, took a step forward. Ghost, he whispered, and the name hung in the air like smoke. His name was Tommy, Maya said, confusion sharpening her voice. Tommy Sinclair. He was a mechanic. He fixed cars for 20 years at Morrison's garage in Phoenix. He coached Little League on weekends and made pancakes every Sunday morning. The words tumbled out, desperate to maintain the image of the father she'd known, the gentle man who'd never raised his voice, who'd cried at Disney movies when he thought she wasn't looking. But Roadkill was shaking his head, his expression caught between disbelief and something that might have been grief. 20 years, he murmured to the others. 20 goddamn years. The spiderweb man pulled out a phone, his fingers moving rapidly across the screen. Boss needs to see this, he said to Roadkill, who nodded grimly. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. This was wrong, all of it. Her father had been Thomas Sinclair, born in Tucson, enlisted at 18, served 2 tours in Iraq before coming home to work with his hands and raise his daughter alone after her mother died in childbirth. She had his discharge papers, his social security card, 23 years of memories that painted him as the most honorable man she'd ever known. There's been a mistake, she said, backing toward her steaming car. My dad wasn't. He didn't know people like you. He was just... Show me the tattoo again, Roadkill interrupted, his voice carrying an authority that made her freeze mid-sentence. Maya's hand moved to her shoulder, where the phoenix stretched its wings across her collarbone. She'd gotten it on her 18th birthday, a tribute to her father's matching ink and their shared love of the mythical bird that rose from ashes. Dad had been so proud that day, his eyes misty as he traced the fresh lines with gentle fingers. Just like his, she whispered. Not just like his. Roadkill's voice was granite, exactly like his, down to the lightning bolt through the wing. That's not army ink, sweetheart. That's club ink. That's the mark of a brother. The desert seemed to tilt around Maya, heat waves distorting reality until she couldn't tell what was real anymore. No, that's not. My father was a good man. He went to church. He helped his neighbors. He read me bedtime stories and taught me to drive stick shift in the Walmart parking lot. Good men can have dark pasts, said another biker, older than the rest, with kind eyes that didn't match his fierce appearance. Sometimes the darkest pasts make the best men. Maya's legs felt unsteady. She leaned against her car's hot hood, the metal burning through her jeans, grounding her in physical sensation when everything else seemed to be slipping away. The dog tags felt heavier around her neck, as if they carried weight she'd never noticed before. "If you knew him," she said finally, "then tell me something. Tell me something that proves you're not just—" "He had a scar," Roadkill said quietly. "Right here." He touched his left temple, shaped like a crescent moon. Said he got it in Fallujah, but the truth was he got it in a bar fight in Riverside when some drunk asshole wouldn't stop hitting on a waitress who'd already said no. Maya's breath caught. The scar was real, a thin white line her father had always been self-conscious about, hidden beneath the hair he'd never cut too short. She'd never questioned his story about the shrapnel, had never thought to doubt anything he'd told her about his past. Now doubt was all she had left. The crescent moon scar wasn't the only detail that shattered Maya's carefully constructed world. As Roadkill continued talking, each revelation felt like another blow to everything she thought she knew about Tommy Sinclair. "He used to make this sound when he was thinking hard," the older biker with kind eyes said, making a soft clicking noise with his tongue. Always did it before a run, before any big decision. Called it his thinking tick. Maya's knees nearly buckled. Dad had done that exact thing every morning before work, standing at the kitchen counter with his coffee, planning his day at the garage, click, 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 tongue against teeth, while he read through work orders or helped her with homework problems that stumped them both. "And he had this thing about strawberry milk," added the spiderweb man, not looking up from his phone. "Couldn't drink regular milk, said it reminded him of something bad." But strawberry milk? Man would drink that stuff like water. The detail hit her like a physical blow. Every grocery trip, every restaurant. Dad always ordered strawberry milk when it was available, claiming it was just a quirk. Maya had teased him about it, called it his one childish indulgence. She'd never imagined it might be connected to trauma, to memories he'd never shared. Stop. The word came out strangled. Just stop. But the memories were already cascading. 23 years of small moments suddenly taking on new meaning. The way Dad always checked the locks twice before bed. How he never talked about his time before her birth, deflecting questions with jokes or tickling attacks that left her breathless with laughter and forgetting what she'd asked. The old military duffel bag in his closet that he claimed was empty but had always felt too heavy when she'd tried to move it as a child. "Look, sweetheart." Roadkill's voice was gentler now, paternal in a way that made her chest ache. "I don't know what story Tommy told you about his life, but the man we knew, Ghost, he disappeared after the feds raided our clubhouse in '04. Most of us figured he was dead, either in prison or worse. But if he's your father, if he's been living clean all these years, he died 3 months ago." The words came out flat, emotionless. Massive heart attack at work. 51 years old. She touched the dog tags again, the metal now feeling foreign against her skin. "He left me everything. His house, his savings, his truck. But no family, no history. Just me." The bikers exchanged another look, this one heavy with implications Maya wasn't sure she wanted to understand. "Where you headed?" asked the older man. "Seattle. I got accepted to a pediatric nursing program at Children's Hospital. It's what I've wanted since I was 15. The dream felt fragile now, like something that belonged to a different Maya, one who'd lived in a world where her father was exactly who he'd claimed to be. Dad was so proud when I got the letter. He said—" She swallowed hard. "He said I was going to save babies, that it was the most important work in the world. The irony wasn't lost on her. She dedicated her life to healing children, to being the kind of person who made the world safer and better. And her father, the man who'd inspired that calling, might have been running from a life of violence and crime. He wasn't wrong. The spy